Ah, the 90s, what a time to be alive. Nelson Mandela was freed from prison, AOL, Super Nintendo, Mrs. Doubtfire, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Harry Potter, Streets of Rage, just a few of the great things to come from the 90s. What's your favorite thing? Let me know in the comments section. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell for more great content from Kazuya Gaming. In the early 90s, Noriyoshi Oba broached the idea of doing a beat-em-up style game influenced by American TV shows like Starsky and Hutch and the A-Team. Streets of Rage was designed for players to focus on preventing enemies from swarming you while working with a second player using various team moves. 2017, Ben Fiquet from Lizard Cube wanted to remake the original Streets of Rage using the same techniques as Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, but Oliver Cornett wasn't available. So, alongside publisher .emu, Fiquet approached Sega and asked for a license to make a full sequel instead. With a modified engine from Guard Crush Games' Streets of Fury, and a core development team of 5 members across the 3 companies, Streets of Rage 4 was released on April 30th, 2020. Carrying the torch for the series with its similar style of gameplay from the early 90s, Streets of Rage 4 is a side-scrolling beat-em-up with up to 4 local and 2 online players as you fight against waves of enemies. Each player has a set of standard attacks, power attacks, grapples, blitz moves, and special attacks. Special attacks can be performed at the cost of health, which can be restored by landing subsequent attacks without being hit. On top of these moves, each character has a star move, which can be performed by collecting stars on each level or earning points in certain modes. New to Streets of Rage 4 is a combo system and a juggle mechanic, allowing players to string together moves as long as you aren't hit for extra damage. Also new to this installment is a weapon catch feature. You can throw any weapon at an enemy and it bounces back, giving you a split second to catch it in midair and continue your assault. A couple of things I didn't like about this game: enemies can also juggle you. Bouncing from one hit to another with no defense can be frustrating. Another thing I found to be a mild annoyance is sometimes, even though you are seemingly right next to the enemy, your attacks can miss. Maybe that's a product of the 3D game and a 2D environment, but it was a bit off nonetheless. Also, grabbing enemies when you are close to them is problematic. If they just added a grapple button, it would solve this and there'd be another level of strategy. After playing the game for about 40 hours or so, I would say this game scratches an itch I didn't even know I had. From the simple yet nuanced combos to the pleasure of juggling someone with a perfectly timed attack, I had a blast playing Streets of Rage. The story's plot is about as flimsy as a piece of lunch meat and about as short as Tom Cruise, but its joke the game is obviously in on. Somehow it works in this case. It's set 10 years after the events of the last game in the series, and we are joined by series regulars Axel Stone and Blaze Fielding, despite being too old for this shit. Cherry Hunter also joins her father in this lineup, but unlike dear old dad, she is a starting character. A good thing too, because her movement in Streets of Rage 4 is more akin to what we'd expect from a 2020 beat-em-up, easily dodging and weaving in and out of combat, making her one of my favorites to use. In comparison, other characters are fairly slow and sluggish, with the exception of another locked character with a natural aversion to using weapons. The last starting character is Floyd Iria, a construction worker who lost his arms in an accident and was given a new lease on life by Dr. Gilbert Sand. Without a dash or blitz move and a slow movement speed, he is the polar opposite of Cherry Hunter. While each character has its strengths and weaknesses, they are all pretty well balanced, lending themselves well to the idea that mixing it up in play styles will give you hours of enjoyable gameplay. Levels, while being bound by the restraints of side-scrolling beat-em-up, I found to be refreshing in design. From the streets of Oakwood City to airplanes flying overhead to wrestling rings with flamethrowers, the level design is surprisingly diverse. And with weapons no longer restricted, we see all sorts of varieties, from lead pipes all the way to wrecking balls and everything in between, giving another layer of tactics to the fighting of endless enemies. And music definitely gives off a 90s dubstep vibe, and as someone who grew up in the 90s, it was another piece of the puzzle to blast memories of childhood gaming into my brain, which was very nice when you're my age. And with the retro characters you can unlock, it completes the puzzle nicely. Character selection starts small, but with 12 unlockable characters, it has plenty of reason to come back and play again and again just to catch them all. A couple other modes, Boss Rush, a very punishing marathon of boss fights, and Survival if you have the DLC, a push to see how far you can go with one life, hard yet rewarding, and with PvP Battle and Arcade mode rounding out the modes, the latter being just like Story except a set number of lives. Overall, I would for sure recommend buying this game. From its beautiful visuals to the 90s feel, what's not to love? Combat flows like liquid, allowing you to pull off some amazing combos, and the different modes all work well to create a whole. With old friends and new faces showing up to battle it out for control of Oakwood City, it's enjoyable for newcomers and series veterans alike. Whether you grew up in the 90s or not, there's no denying how fun this game is to play and replay by yourself or with others. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If not, that sucks to be you. Thanks for watching. Look out for more videos like this one, and I'll see you in the comment section.